TV, viewers were instantly hooked. The high-stakes world of crab fishing in the Bering Sea, mixed with real-life drama, kept audiences coming back episode after episode. Among the most memorable crew members was Jake Anderson, a hard-working, determined fisherman who quickly became a fan favorite. But behind the scenes, Jake's life started to spiral. While the show brought him fame, it didn't shield him from real-world struggles. Over time, Jake began to face serious financial troubles, the kind that don't just shake your bank account, they shake your entire future. So, what went wrong? How did someone who seemed to have it all, TV success, a steady career, and a family end up in such a deep financial crisis? Let's take a closer look at Jake Anderson's story and uncover what really happened. Life before Deadliest Catch. Jakob Anderson, born on September 16, 1980, is a seasoned fishing captain and part owner of the Titan Explorer. Before that, Anderson was the captain and co-owner of the FV Saga. Most people, however, know him from the long-running reality show Deadliest Catch on the Discovery Channel, where he's been a familiar face since 2007. Jake's journey into the dangerous world of crab fishing started when he joined the FV Northwestern as a greenhorn under the command of Captain Sig Hansen. He made his first appearance on Deadliest Catch in an episode called New Beginnings, which aired on May 15, 2007. A fitting title for what would become the start of a life-changing career. Over the next few years, Jake worked hard and earned his way up. By 2012, he had become the deck boss of the Northwestern, a major promotion. That same year, he also earned 2 official licenses, the USCG Mate 1,600 Tonnin license and the Master 100 Tonnin Captain's license. With those credentials, Jake was ready to take the next big step. And in 2015, he did just that, becoming the captain of the FV Saga. It was a proud moment for him, and he led the crew for several seasons. But in 2023, things took another turn as Saga was put up for sale. How Jake Anderson lost the Saga on Deadliest Catch. If Deadliest Catch has taught fans anything over its 20-season run, it's that nothing is ever guaranteed. One moment you're on top, and the next, everything can fall apart. No one understands this better than longtime fan favorite Jake Anderson. After pouring his heart, soul, and savings into the FV Saga, Jake was suddenly hit with devastating news. He was going to lose the very boat he helped build and once proudly captained. How? Keep watching to find out. Just as the Red King crab fishery was reopening, and with a competitive derby-style race about to kick off, Jake received a repossession notice for the Saga. The timing couldn't have been worse. One minute he was preparing for a big catch, and the next he was left stranded without a vessel or a plan. It felt like being lost at sea. Only this time, it wasn't just the waves that were threatening to pull him under. The show itself, celebrating its milestone 20th season, has only grown more intense. With the Bering Sea as wild and unforgiving as ever, Deadliest Catch continues to follow the brave crews who battle the elements, the ocean, and their own personal demons. Jake's story that season, however, added an emotional gut punch that many viewers didn't see coming. Jake has been part of the show since 2007. He began as a wide-eyed greenhorn on the FV Northwestern under Captain Sig Hansen and worked his way through the ranks, deckhand, engineer, deck boss, captain, and eventually part owner of his own vessel. It was the American dream, and he had lived it until it was suddenly snatched away. Leading up to season 20, Jake sat down for interviews and revealed the behind-the-scenes chaos that turned his world upside down. He explained that legal issues involving his business partner on the Saga led to the boat being repossessed. With pain and disbelief, Jake recalled the moment he found out. "I found out on a Friday in August. Everything was set to go red crab fishing. Then on September 1st, things started to look dark." He continued, "Just before I was heading out to fish, I found out my partner. Well, with respect to the legal side of things, We still don't know exactly what he did, but I lost my boat. The fallout was swift and heartbreaking. Jake went from having the most king crab to catch, and a platform he built with his own 2 hands, to losing it all over a weekend. After losing the FV Saga, Jake Anderson didn't back down. Instead, he turned to someone he respected, his former mentor, Captain Sig Hansen. Sig welcomed him back onto the FV Northwestern, the very boat where Jake's fishing journey began years ago. It was a return to his roots, but under very different circumstances. Reflecting on that moment, Jake shared how much it meant to have Sig's support. Of course, Sig is going to reach out because we are close. As fishermen and fisherwomen, the camaraderie is something special. It's a very honorable profession. Not just for Sig, but I think any one of us would do that for each other, even if we were an enemy. That sense of solidarity was a lifeline. But Jake didn't plan to stay as a guest forever. After his time aboard the Northwestern, he set his sights on a fresh start. That opportunity came in the form of a new vessel, the Titan Explorer. Joining the Titan Explorer marked a big shift for Jake. Unlike the Saga, he wasn't an owner. He wasn't calling the shots. Instead, he had to prove himself to a new team of people who didn't know him, didn't owe him anything, and weren't familiar with his leadership. For someone used to being in charge, this was a humbling experience. He knew the only way to move forward was to earn their trust, and fast. In an industry where the next season isn't guaranteed, showing up and doing the work was the only way to survive. Jake admitted that this wasn't an easy transition. It was a step down in many ways, but it was also necessary. He had to swallow his pride and take what was offered. More importantly, he had to make it count. In a high-stakes business like commercial crabbing, captains are competitors first. Everyone's racing to hit their quotas and secure their earnings. But losing the Saga taught Jake something bigger. That even in a cutthroat world, there's still a code of honor. And in the worst of times, that code can bring people together. And as Season 20 unfolds, Jake is fighting to rebuild what he lost. The legal issues around the Saga may still be unresolved, but one thing is clear: Jake Anderson isn't done yet. Jake Anderson had an adventurous Deadliest Catch Season 20. When Jake Anderson joined the Titan Explorer, he knew he had something to prove. After losing the Saga, he wasn't just looking for a new job, he was fighting to rebuild his reputation. With new bosses watching closely, Jake couldn't afford another misstep. And with nearly 2 decades of experience behind him, he threw himself into the season, pushing through every obstacle in his way. Between trying to win over a brand new crew and hit his crab quota, Season 20 was a serious emotional test for Jake. Deadliest Catch has always shown the harsh reality of life at sea, and Season 20 was no different. Early on, viewers watched as Captain Keith Colburn suffered a frightening medical emergency. But the danger didn't stop there. Aboard the Titan Explorer, tragedy nearly struck again when deckhand Chino was hit in the head by a crab pot. He screamed, "I can't feel my legs!" Jake immediately sprang into action. Alongside his team and even a show producer, they carefully carried Chino inside to assess the damage. Some viewers questioned the decision to move him, fearing a possible spinal injury. But luckily, Chino recovered and eventually returned to work. It was a sobering moment for Jake, a reminder that at sea, everything can change in seconds. Aside from losing the Saga, loss is something Jake knows all too well. Long before he became a captain, he had dreams of being a professional snowboarder. But after a serious injury ended that path, he spiraled into addiction. With time and support, he got sober and found a new purpose on the water. Still, the pain didn't end there. In Season 5, he shared that his sister had died young from pneumonia. And during Season 6, he learned that his missing father had been found dead. This season brought yet another heartbreak. During one of the trips, Jake received a call from his wife. Tom Brossard, a close friend and former crew member on the Saga, had died of a heart attack. The news broke Jake, but more on these later on in the video. By the end of the season, Jake was just 8,000 crabs short of his quota. Storms rolled in, making an already high-stress situation feel impossible. After the Chino scare, Jake had to put safety above all else, knowing one wrong decision could cost more than just his job. But he pushed forward. And in the end, he and his crew made it. They hit the quota. He kept his job. Season 20 was anything but easy. But Jake Anderson held on. The many tragedies of Jake Anderson's life. Long before he became a familiar face on Deadliest Catch, Jake Anderson had a very different dream. He wanted to be a professional skateboarder. That dream came to a painful end after a severe injury left him unable to pursue the sport at a serious level. "I kind of gave up on everything," Jake later admitted in an interview with the Skagit Valley Herald. The loss of his dream sent Jake down a dark path. In his early 20s, he began misusing prescription painkillers and methamphetamines. Even after healing enough to give skateboarding another try, he found himself hooked on Adderall, believing it would boost his performance. But it didn't. Instead, his addiction got worse. He lost friends, his sense of purpose, and even a place to live. For 2 years, Jake was unhoused in his hometown of Anacortes, Washington. "There was nowhere to go," he recalled. "I can't express the humiliation one feels at 4 or 5 in the morning, and all you can do is watch yourself walk up and down the streets." Those years were lonely and painful, but eventually, Jake made a choice that changed everything. Just after his 24th birthday, he decided to leave Anacortes and move to Alaska, looking for a fresh start. He landed a job on a fishing boat and began working hard at sea. It wasn't an instant fix. He relapsed, but eventually he entered a formal recovery program and got clean. He's reportedly been sober since 2010, building a new life for himself. Tragedy at sea. Losing his sister. While Jake was rebuilding his life and career, tragedy struck again. In the 5th season of Deadliest Catch, during an episode titled Bitter Tears, Jake received devastating news while out at sea. His sister, Chelsea Anderson, had been rushed to the hospital. Not long after, she passed away from complications related to pneumonia. Chelsea had faced a lifetime of health challenges. Diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis at just 2 years old, she battled chronic pain, seizures, and other complications for decades. By her mid-30s, she had developed abscesses and was dependent on prescription medications. She was also diagnosed with schizophrenia. On the day she died, she had resisted going to the doctor. "Before my sister died at the doctor's office," Jake wrote years later, "she was arguing with my mom about how she didn't need to go. She was fine. She died 20 minutes later while my mom was in the waiting room." Chelsea was just 37 years old. Her death left a hole in Jake's heart, one he still carries with him. The mystery of his father's disappearance. Only a year later, Jake's world was shaken again, this time by a mystery that would take years to solve. In January 2010, his father, Keith Anderson, left home in Anacortes to meet a friend in Arlington, about 40 miles away. He left with just a small amount of money and, according to reports, had been struggling with depression. But Keith never came home. Weeks later, authorities found his truck abandoned on a logging road deep in Skagit County. There was no sign of him. Jake held out hope, but as time passed, the pain of not knowing began to weigh heavily. More than 2 years later, a hiker stumbled across skeletal remains in the woods, less than a mile from where Keith's truck had been found. The remains were confirmed to be Jake's father. Jake received the news just days before an episode aired in which he visited the area where his father had vanished, still searching for answers. Though his family finally had closure, the loss remained raw. Keith Anderson was 62 years old. Jake Anderson's uncle and Deadliest Catch co-star died. Jake Anderson joined Deadliest Catch in 2007, the same time he entered the high-stakes world of commercial fishing. He was brought into the business by his uncle, Nick Mavar, a veteran deckhand on the FV Northwestern and one of the original stars of the show. Mavar helped guide Anderson through his early years on deck, and played a major role in shaping him into the seaman and eventual captain he would become. Over time, Jake rose through the ranks and would eventually co-captain the FI Northwestern, while his uncle remained a steady presence on the show until the 2020s. Mavar stepped away from Deadliest Catch after suffering a ruptured appendix, later complicated by a cancer diagnosis. Though he retired from reality TV, Mavar didn't leave fishing behind. He ran a salmon operation in Bristol Bay, Alaska, where he remained close to the sea he loved. Then, in one of the most horrible tragedies to ever hit Deadliest Catch, Nick Mavar was found collapsed in a boatyard in Naknek, Alaska, on June 13, 2024. He was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital, the result of what was initially described as a sudden medical episode. Later, Anderson clarified that his uncle had suffered a heart attack while climbing down a ladder on the dock. It was a freak accident during a moment no one could have predicted. Mavar was just 59 years old. 2 days after his uncle's death, Anderson took to Facebook to honor the man who'd given him his start. He posted a heartfelt poem titled "Measure of the Man," a tribute to the quiet strength and enduring influence of Uncle Nicky, who had been more than just family. He was Jake's mentor, friend, and guiding light at sea. But heartbreak would strike again. After Jake Anderson took control of the FV Saga, he brought on a man he deeply trusted to help him run the vessel, Tom Brossard. A welder, cutter, and longtime ship engineer, Brossard had a long history of working on boats and heavy-duty marine machinery. More than just a skilled worker, Brossard was Jake's right-hand man and closest friend. Together, they had poured themselves into rebuilding the Saga from the ground up, replacing the bow, the stern, the floors, and even the bathroom. To Jake, Tom wasn't just crew. He was family. During Season 20 of Deadliest Catch, while anchored at sea, Anderson received a phone call from his wife, Jenna. The call, captured on camera, was devastating. "It's Tom," she said. "He just had a heart attack or something. He didn't make it." Anderson froze in disbelief. His grief quickly turned to anger. "Why him?" he asked, his voice cracking. "There are so many others I could name. Why not them?" It was clear Tom's death had ripped a hole through him. The two spoke on the phone nearly every night, even after Tom had moved to the Philippines in his later years. Brossard was 64 years old when he died, a giant of the fishing world who, like many before him, became another name on the long list of Deadliest Catch stars taken too soon. These back-to-back tragedies, losing the uncle who gave him his first shot, and the friend who helped him build his dream, left Jake Anderson reeling. But if there's anything that defines him, it's resilience. Season after season, through loss and setbacks, he keeps returning to the water. The truth about the Deadliest Catch crew. Over its 20 seasons, Deadliest Catch has delivered gripping drama on the high seas. But sometimes, the real trouble happens off the water. Over the years, several cast and crew members have faced serious legal issues, casting a shadow over the show's legacy. Captain Elliot Neese was once one of the most talked-about names on Deadliest Catch. Bold, brash, and often butting heads with his crew and rivals, Neese became both a fan favorite and a source of frustration for viewers. But in Season 11, everything changed. Without warning, Neese handed over control of the FV Saga to his first mate, Jeff Folk, and disappeared from the series. This, of course, started a wave of rumors and speculation. Soon after, Neese addressed the situation publicly. In May 2015, he tweeted that he had entered Passages Malibu, a high-profile rehabilitation center, to deal with personal issues. "I had issues," he admitted candidly, adding that after 60 days in the program, he had a new outlook on things now. But recovery, as always, is rarely a straight path. By 2017, Neese was back on Instagram, revealing he had relapsed, but had once again found sobriety, this time celebrating 90 days clean. His social media presence became sporadic and at times puzzling, marked by snapshots of his pet rabbits and photos of outdoor gear. In one odd incident in 2019, he publicly lashed out at a Sportsman's Warehouse store for allegedly denying him a firearm purchase. An AR-10, he said, was on layaway. His anger boiled over into a lengthy Facebook rant, further adding to his unpredictable public image. Still, the door to Deadliest Catch wasn't completely closed. Executive producer Decker Watson admitted in a 2017 tweet that he tried like hell to get Nice back for season 13, but ultimately it didn't happen. Unfortunately, Nice's troubles weren't limited to addiction and social media meltdowns. In 2012, he was served a restraining order by Valerie Gunderson, the mother of his children. In her petition, Gunderson detailed disturbing behavior, including one alleged incident in which Nice destroyed her television and burnt her clothes in the fireplace during a violent outburst. She expressed fear for her safety, saying she was terrified Nice might snap. The restraining order, coupled with his battles with substance abuse and his volatile behavior, painted a picture of a man spiraling in and out of control, far removed from the captain viewers once saw navigating the Bering Sea. As of now, Elliot Nice remains largely off the radar. Occasionally, he reappears online, but whether or not he'll ever reclaim his spot on Deadliest Catch is uncertain. Fileti Freddy Mogatai. From deckhand to unofficial cage fighter? Fileti Freddy Mogatai has always been one of the most colorful characters on Deadliest Catch. Equal parts unpredictable, intense, and fiercely loyal. But his fiery temper may have carried over into real life in ways that left more than just crab traps flying. Back in December 2011, Mogatai found himself at the center of an off-the-clock brawl inside the bathroom of the Grand Aleutian Hotel in Dutch Harbor, Alaska. According to a criminal complaint obtained by TMZ, Mogatai reportedly got into a physical altercation with a married couple. The fight, as described, sounded like something ripped straight out of an MMA highlight reel. Freddy allegedly put the husband in a headlock and then shoved the wife. Mogatai claimed he was acting in self-defense, but police weren't buying it. He was arrested on the spot. Although he was later fired from his vessel for a separate issue entirely, the incident left fans wondering, was Freddy in the wrong profession? With his bare-knuckle aggression and dramatic flair, maybe he belonged in the octagon instead of on the open sea. A Deadliest Match spin-off might not be out of the question. After all, who wouldn't tune in to see that kind of chaos inside a cage? Jake Harris, the other side of the helm. Jake Harris, the youngest son of beloved Deadliest Catch captain Phil Harris, has faced a far rougher path away from the cameras. While he showed promise as a fisherman during his early years on the Cornelia Marie, personal demons began to pull him under, ultimately leading him into a string of arrests, disappearances, and dangerous run-ins with the law. The trouble began in February 2010, shortly after the tragic passing of his father. Harris crashed his BMW in Seattle and fled the scene. When police caught up with him, they charged him with DUI, hit and run, and driving with a suspended license. That same year, during filming, Captain Derek Ray reportedly became concerned Jake was using drugs on board the Cornelia Marie. Authorities were called and found drug paraphernalia, though no charges were filed. Things only worsened from there. In November 2016, Harris was brutally attacked in a robbery, suffering a cracked skull and serious brain trauma. Not long after recovering, he was arrested in Arizona for stealing a car from a friend. Police also found crystal meth and unauthorized Xanax in his possession. Instead of facing the charges, Harris failed to appear in court in 2017, prompting a bench warrant for his arrest. By 2019, things spiraled again, this time in Washington's Skagit County, where park rangers attempted to stop Harris in an RV. Rather than pull over, he took off, sparking a police chase. When troopers finally got him to stop, they discovered a half-ounce of heroin, more drug paraphernalia, and a stolen pew-pew inside the vehicle. This time, there were serious consequences. Harris was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Joshua Tell Warner, bank robber turned TV star. Out of all the rap sheets linked to Deadliest Catch cast members, none are quite as bold or bizarre as that of Joshua Tell Warner. Warner joined the show in 2009, but he didn't just bring a fisherman's grit to the screen, he also brought a criminal past that could have inspired a heist movie. Back in 2010, police in Eugene, Oregon, arrested Warner for his suspected involvement in not one but 3 separate bank robberies. Authorities believed he pulled off a 2007 heist at a Washington Mutual branch, followed by 2 robberies at the same Pacific Continental Bank in April 2009. Yes, he allegedly returned to rob the same place twice in 1 month. The kicker? He didn't exactly stay under the radar afterward. Instead of laying low, Warner did the opposite. He popped up on national TV. Law enforcement officials recognized him from Deadliest Catch and issued a warrant. Castmates later told TV station K-Val via CBS News that Warner had even joked about how appearing on a hit reality series probably wasn't the smartest move for someone with his background. His brief stint as a fugitive ended quickly. Just hours after the warrant was circulated, police in East Peoria, Illinois, tracked him down and arrested him on December 31, 2009. Warner was later convicted and sentenced to 9.5 years in federal prison. Of all the things Deadliest Catch has caught over the years, a wanted bank robber has to be one of the most unexpected. Drug troubles behind the camera. It's not just the cast of Deadliest Catch that's run into trouble. Even people behind the camera have had their brushes with the law. Take Matthew Schneider, a production manager on the series. In April 2010, he was charged with using and distributing cocaine, according to Alaska Dispatch News. Schneider allegedly sold $300 worth of cocaine to an undercover officer, and in a truly bold move, he used some of it in front of the officer too. During the investigation, Schneider reportedly implicated other members of the production team, helping to unravel a broader drug trafficking ring that ultimately led to 18 arrests. In this case, the real drama wasn't on the high seas. It was in the crew van. The Hillstrands legal storm. Jonathan and Andy Hillstrand, the spirited brothers known for captaining the Time Bandit, were fan favorites from the jump. In 2010, Discovery Channel gave them what many reality stars dream of: a spin-off series. Titled Hillstranded, the project was meant to capture the brothers' larger-than-life personalities outside of crab fishing. But instead of fame, the deal went south. When it came time to wrap up the production with voiceovers and finishing touches, the Hillstrands ghosted the network. Discovery was not amused. They responded with a $3 million breach of contract lawsuit, prompting the brothers to walk away from Deadliest Catch entirely, and they didn't go alone. Captain Sig Hansen, another fan favorite, left the show in solidarity. Eventually, cooler heads prevailed. Everyone made amends. The lawsuits were dropped, and the Hillstrands returned to the fleet. But their legal headaches weren't over yet. In 2013, while celebrating a Seattle Seahawks win, the Hillstrands decided to fire off some celebratory fireworks. On a boat, no less. Crew member David "Beaver" Zielinski was tasked with lighting a homemade mortar, allegedly designed by the Hillstrands themselves. It exploded in his hand before he could launch it, shattering the bones in his arm and hand. Zielinski filed a lawsuit in 2015, and in 2017, a King County jury awarded him $1.35 million in damages. One small firework turned into one massive legal bill. Sig Hansen's darkest storm: allegations, estrangement, and legal battles. In one of the most explosive off-camera controversies to rock Deadliest Catch, Captain Sig Hansen faced a deeply personal and painful accusation. His estranged daughter, Melissa Ekstrom, accused him of sexually abusing her when she was just 2 years old. The claim stems from Hansen's brief and volatile first marriage to Ekstrom's mother, Lisa. In 1990, during divorce and custody proceedings, prosecutors reviewed the allegations but ultimately declined to pursue criminal charges. Still, in a letter to Ekstrom years later, they stated they believed the information at hand suggests Mr. Hansen has acted in a sexually inappropriate manner. A judge in the custody case ruled that the abuse did not occur, but the emotional damage has lingered for decades. Melissa filed a civil suit in 2016, seeking undisclosed damages. The case is currently under review by the Washington State Court of Appeals. Hansen has fiercely denied the allegations, calling them part of a years-long campaign of lies orchestrated by his ex-wife. Speaking to the Seattle Times, Hansen called the civil suit nothing more than an old-fashioned shakedown. It's blackmail. He even launched a website to refute the claims and document what he says is a trail of manipulation and extortion. While Hansen was fighting serious legal accusations, he also made headlines for a far less severe but still troubling incident: an altercation with an Uber driver in Seattle. In May 2018, after celebrating Norwegian Independence Day with his family, Hansen attempted to pay cash for a ride home. When the driver refused, citing Uber's strict digital payment policy, things escalated. Hansen and his son-in-law reportedly spat on the driver's head and seat, then kicked the car, causing a dent. Police later arrested Hansen at his home. After sobering up, he publicly apologized via Twitter. "I am terribly sorry for my behavior and am very embarrassed by it," Hansen wrote. "I owe a bunch of people apologies. First and foremost, to our Uber driver, who was just trying to get us home safely. I hope I can make that apology in person." The incident didn't result in long-term legal consequences, but it added another layer to the complex portrait of one of reality TV's most infamous sea captains. A producer's death off camera. What really happened? Deadliest Catch doesn't just dramatize danger, it has lived it, both on and off the water. While viewers have mourned at-sea tragedies like the death of beloved Captain Phil Harris and the many crew members lost to violent storms and sunken ships, tragedy has also struck far from Dutch Harbor. In a chilling real-life twist, associate producer Joseph McMahon was shot and killed outside his Pasadena, California home in July 2015. According to CBS LA, McMahon had gone outside to investigate a strange noise when he was gunned down. Hours later, authorities discovered the body of the suspected shooter in a parked car, dead from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Even more unsettling, no clear motive or connection between McMahon and the suspect was ever made public. It remains one of the most bizarre and heartbreaking incidents tied to the show's history. Which of these scandals shocked you the most? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.